and welcome to another video. I am Dr. Leo, and in collaboration with NovaaLab, we want to share with you some free and informative content about how to feel and age better. In today's video, we will be talking about fasting as well as how to incorporate fasting into your lifestyle, your routine, so that you can enjoy the many benefits of lowering your disease risk for many of the chronic lifestyle related diseases that many people suffer from today, as well as slowing down the aging process and adding years to your lifespan. If you enjoy these video topics and you want to stay informed, make sure to leave a like for this video as well as subscribing to the channel so that you do not miss the next video. Even though fasting has gained popularity over the years due to the remarkable results the people who practice fasting are able to achieve, there is still a lot of people who view fasting as a little bit extreme and that going long periods of time without food cannot be healthy, right? And this is totally understandable, coming from the perspective of society and how much focus that we are placing around the food that we eat. We've all heard how important it is to nourish our bodies every single day, with sayings such as breakfast is the most important meal of the day, or get at least 3 meals every single day to build a strong body, etc., etc. So in order to dispel some of these worries around fasting that you may have while watching this video, I want to ask you a question which I want you to answer in your head. And the question is, how long do you think the average human being can go without eating any food whatsoever? Is it a few days, 5 days, a week, 2 weeks, or any other period of time? Come up with an answer in your head. I'm going to give you a few seconds to think of it now. Do you have an answer? Let me hear it. You got an answer? Okay. The answer to this question may surprise you, just as it did surprise me when I first learned about it. So the answer is the average human being can actually go around 2 months without eating any food. And if you look at the people who have fasted for the longest period of time, so people who are very overweight, have a lot of energy stores in their bodies, there are plenty of these people who have actually fasted for over a year. So if you have had any of the previously mentioned worries around fasting, I hope that this can actually help you realize that biologically speaking, going a few days without food is actually not a big deal and can actually be very, very healthy for us. And knowing how long people can go without food might actually help combat this almost obsessive mindset that some people have around having to or needing to have food every few hours. That being said, the extremely long fast with people who are very overweight is not recommended necessarily for everyone, and if you do have certain medical conditions or are on certain medications, fasting can actually involve certain risks for you, which is why in that case I would recommend you have a conversation with your doctor about whether or not fasting could be done safely for you. In the previously mentioned examples, it is also important to note that these are obviously including the consumption of water, as without water, human beings can only survive for a few days. This is because water is extremely important for life. It is also a central component to many of the body's natural mechanisms for removing toxic substances and waste products. So keeping hydrated during a fast will ensure that these processes are working as they should. Also, for the longer types of fast, the prolonged fasts, it is also important and many times needed to take electrolytes and vitamins to ensure that you're not getting any nutritional deficiencies. So although some fasts involve abstaining from both food and water, for medical purposes and for the rest of this video, we will only be referring to fasts that include drinking water. So what are the different fasting protocols and how can we start incorporating them into our life? So let's start off first of all with the different fasting protocols. The first one we're going to mention is something that is popularly called intermittent fasting. Many of you have probably heard about this before, and it usually involves people restricting the window of time that they are allowed to eat down to 10 hours, 8 hours, or even less, and then fasting for the rest of the day. In scientific terms, this type of fasting is actually called time-restricted feeding. Intermittent fasting, on the other hand, at least in scientific terms, is actually referring to alternate day fasting or modified alternate day fasting. In alternate day fasting, people will fast every other day or during specific days of the week, and then they will eat as much as they want on feeding days. With modified alternate day fasting, you're actually doing something very similar to alternate day fasting, with the difference being that on fasting days you will usually consume around 15 to 25% of your normal caloric intake. Lastly, we have prolonged fasts, which usually refers to fasts which last at least 3 days. And some of the hormonal regulation and some of the metabolic changes that really tend to slow down the aging process actually seem to really take off at around day 3 of fasting. And that being said though, all the different types of fasting protocols have quite a lot of evidence supporting their reduction in the risk of several chronic diseases such as high blood pressure, obesity, type 2 diabetes, inflammatory and autoimmune conditions, heart disease, and even certain cancers. Before starting a fast, it is usually recommended to eat a very clean, healthy, balanced diet, including lots of fruits and vegetables, and avoiding things such as processed and refined foods. In alternate day fasting, it is also recommended to avoid high-calorie foods, as alternating between hypercaloric meals and then no meals whatsoever can be pretty violent. In terms of fasting, it is usually not recommended for children or adolescents, and it is also not generally recommended for people over the age of 75. If you do want to experience the benefits of the different fasting protocols, I recommend experimenting with the different protocols to see which one works best for you. This is because there is no one best solution that fits for everyone, and everybody works a little bit differently. Also, if you want to try time-restricted feeding, or what is commonly talked about as intermittent fasting, I would recommend actually breaking your fast a little bit earlier in the day and having your last meal again a little bit earlier, so at least 3 hours before going to bed. This is because having big meals within 3 hours of sleep is actually not good for your quality of sleep. Otherwise, during a fast, I recommend getting busy with things that do not involve food and avoiding surrounding yourself with the temptation of food. Also, having the mindset of being allowed to or being able to break off the fast at any point if you want to, but that you would like to see how much further you can take the fast without your body becoming uncomfortable can sometimes help fight the urge that sometimes comes from restricting our own behavior. Also, I would generally not recommend anyone do any strenuous exercise during a fast. Walks are fine, light exercise is fine, but strenuous exercise, I would say, unless you are a trained athlete with a good nutrition plan, is better avoided. And with that being said, I want to say thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found this information helpful. Let me know in the comment section what you thought and what kind of topics you want to see more of on this channel. As we are producing this content for you, it is important for us to know what you want to see more of. So once again, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.